and welcome to BCC Virtual Racing and tonight's race, Neokyo Crit Course, being hosted by Beaconsfield Crit Club. And indeed, welcome back. Sorry about the long delay between this and the last broadcast. Finally moved studios, almost finished construction. Still a few extension cables here and there, but nonetheless. So the course tonight, short, fast, 20.2 kilometers, 0.7 kilometer lead in each lap, 5 of them, 3.9 kilometers, about 120 riders entered so far. I think around 14 from BCC. Starting tonight's race in the B pen, all riders going off together, 1 minute 50 seconds to go. Not quite sure what's been happening in terms of the leader tables, but I'll catch up on that in due course. I've absolutely no doubt in Cat B that Davis is still in there at 3.99 watts per kilo, but I have had a quick look, some new riders and some changes in categories as well, so that will be interesting to watch. So for tonight, being 20.2 kilometers long and flat 20 meters of climbing per lap, it's going to be fast, very fast, approaching FTP for the entire duration of the race, I would imagine. But we'll see what happens. It's certainly going to start off fast and probably get even faster, so tactics may not think it will be important, and we'll see what happens in approximately 45 seconds. So hopefully from this week onward there will be a broadcast every evening, but we'll see. So 35 seconds to go. No riders as yet that I've seen. I'll just check on my phone. In category A, 5 in Cat B, 6 in Cat C from BCC, that is. And hopefully everything works. New dedicated broadband connection for this race, so let's see what happens. Here we go. 10 seconds to the start of the Neokyo Crit Course on the Kuri Islands. I think this course introduced in November 21, if I remember correctly. And here we go. Let's see if I can pick up a BCC rider as they get underway. Not yet. There's a Campbell, I don't think it's Neil Campbell though. There's McQueen, a new rider. I can click on it, I will, it has appeared. Go for it to settle for a moment. But there, I saw, as I have a look around trying to find a BCC rider, of course it's a double challenge. When there aren't very many of them, it's hard to find one. When there's too many, it's difficult to locate every one of them, so apologies if I miss you out. But McQueen, just saw Davis there actually. Stoneham, so Angus Stoneham from category A, and I was just mentioning McQueen, haven't met him yet, but relatively new rider on Zwift, 12 races under his belt. Riding in Cat B, will be interesting to see what he does, so is likely to be getting faster at this stage. Well, this stage of his career in Zwift, I should say. A couple of Wickham riders in here as well this evening. I've seen O'Brien, late entry on my list. 0.8 kilometres in should have. I wasn't looking at the screen, just gone under the lap counter. As riders now enter the first lap, 1 minute 15 seconds into the race. Let's see how long it takes for each of these 5 laps at 3.9 kilometres long. Let's have a look right at the front. And there's O'Brien while I managed to click on him. Close to the front of this field of 210 riders, so a very large field. He will be doing exceptionally well to stay up there. But a strong rider, and look at the size of that bunch. There must be 150 riders in there. That's what it looks like, probably a bit less. Jury in there, getting stronger and stronger from his early days of going too fast too quickly. Now seems to have settled somewhat, approaching around 3.5 watts per kilo on a sort of an average basis. But just looking at O'Brien, 166 on the heartbeat, so he is making some effort there. 321 watts. And this looks like to be the leading rider. Let's have a look behind. It is. Keep an eye on this rider, Alexander, pulling away from the field behind. And there they are, just beginning to stretch out, probably just testing the waters at this stage. In fact, 2-3 more riders now join Alexander, putting in a bit of a push at 14 watts per kilo I saw there. And if I move further back in the field, we could pick up. I just saw Davis sneaking by. Not sure quite how many, there he is, not quite sure how many rides he now has under his belt. 350 something, I think, or perhaps even up to 360. Still at 3.9 watts per kilo, so one might ask the question if you've done that many races and aren't getting any faster, perhaps time to change something. And that indeed applies to everyone. If you are riding consistently at a particular pace, you may want to, and that's your own choice of course, but if you're riding consistently and don't appear to be getting any quicker race after race, then it's time to look at doing something a little bit differently. While I can see him strapping from Wickham, a regular rider as well, and at 3.2 kilometres, still on the first lap. Davis, I just saw 4.9 watts per kilo, still sitting around next to O'Brien. But let's move back in the field now, see if we can pick up any other BCC riders. The front of this field will undoubtedly lap the rear of the field before too long. That's what happens with these short laps. And Stoneham, where is he? He's 64th, so he's certainly not wanting to be up the front at this stage. I think he will be keeping a very close eye on what's going on at the front as far as he can see. And he won't leave it too late. Now, I saw Empson drifting past there. There he is. Empson in 61st, so up next to Stoneham at 3.9 kilometres, 4 minutes 59 into the race, 163 on the heart, which is quite good for a man of his age. 8.4 watts per kilo, that little push. That was a very slight incline, not wanting to get left behind, trying to hold on to that field. And moving further back now, before the riders really do begin to mix up. Jury seems to have not kept pace with that initial burst. In fact, is now in the awkward position of being sort of by himself, or not really a bunch around. There's a few riders there. If they can work together, that will make a big difference for him. Right now, what's he doing? I think that is under the lap board again, so riders have at least Jury now on the second lap of 5. And there are a few other BCC riders who pick on at the start, but I can't manage to capture him on this occasion either. Nixon, Taxi rider. Riding consistently from just a quick check before I started the live stream this evening. Mishin riding strongly by himself though. Let's have a look behind. So a small bunch behind him, maybe 15 riders. Oliver White in there, all these riders that entering late, so if you want me to talk about you, or not as the case may be, enter at least 30 minutes beforehand, then I'll make a note of your name and try and follow you. And of course there's Littlewood. Littlewood, interesting rider, 98 odd races under his belt. Was riding in category B, now in C, at least indicated, although I think he's been doing a mixture of both. Really, in my mind, a category B rider though. Something to aim for. And in 144th position at the moment. And as the rider's now 7 minutes 28 in, beginning to the Hokima. Is that Hokima? Yes, it is. Now this is an interesting rider. Jamie Smith, another one of my relatives, and sad to say no one near as fast as the other one. And looking heartbeats up there at 170, but a young man, he could really push it a bit harder than that. 223 watts, it's about the same sort of speed as the faster. I'm just thinking 225, about the same speed as me, I reckon. Bearing in mind I haven't been on a bike for a long time. Anyway, so there we are, Jamie Smith isolated, which is the main concern he'll have, so he's not kept pace with his Cat D fellow riders. There are a few ahead. I'm not sure where he's positioned, Cat D. Richard Lay seems to be behind him. Well, he was riding in Cat C last time I saw him, I think. He is 3 seconds behind Smith. And this will now be the rear of the field. Other riders I haven't yet spotted, but they move back up. With Jury, as we see him, is Stone. Let's check Stone. Just disappeared off screen as I clicked. Let's move to the front and see what's happening. And Brian, what is he doing? Empson. So Empson's doing well, 10th position at the moment, and in fact that is the front of the field just ahead of him, so he is riding exceptionally well. Right next to Davis, 3.3 watts per kilo, 170 on the heart. Davis, by comparison, 164 on the heart, 270 watts, 7.9 kilometres into this race on the second lap. They will transition into the third lap at about 8.5k. So Davis clearly fancies himself, as does Empson. I know where my money is, but I will be impartial for the purposes of commentary and let you know at the end. So let's have a look. Front rider, we can. That is, no, not the front rider, so this small bunch. This is the front of the group. Now, going onto the lap banner, entering the third lap of the race. So this is going to be over fairly quickly. It's about a 25-minute race in all, as far as I can work out in my head. O'Brien's still hanging in there, which is nice to see. Let's have a look and see how far he is off the front. If I can find him again. Let's have a look. We saw Stoneham. Where's Stoneham? Stoneham still much in the same position, looking forward, can see all of the bunch ahead of him. Lots of power-ups coming out there in the small incline, the feather, drafting, a few others I think there as well. This group is very large. What do you reckon? 50 riders in there, so at this state of affairs it's going to be one huge mass sprint. So if you want to avoid that, the time now, the time is right to make some sort of a move, at least to thin the field out a bit. I'm surprised there haven't been more attacks off the front. Quite common just to try and test, see what's going on. And moving back down the field, Jury, as you saw there, with a group now of, let's have a look, about 12 riders, but a much larger group coming up behind and about to merge. And in that group, Jury towards the front of it. So with a bit of luck, he's feeling good, trying to push the pace on a bit. There are other riders. I haven't seen Shannon. I'm sure he's in here somewhere. I saw May had entered. There's McQueen again, got him now at last. 158 on the heart, 9.4 kilometres. Coming up for halfway for him. Riding quite nicely. Needs to get, perhaps take advantage of this slightly larger group in front. And Nixon again, in a difficult position. Just one other rider. Neither seems to want to take the initiative to push on. Nixon has the Tom bike though. It's a faster bike than I think looking. Let's have a look. It's just my standard Zwift bike, so he's on probably the best bike here. And Littlewood again further back in the field with White. It wasn't that long ago that I would not have expected to see White, Littlewood and this rider, Mishin, all together in the same bunch. And we'll talk about who's going fast and who's going slow. Slower is probably a better way of putting it. These riders are all making an effort, no doubt about that. Hokina slightly further back, about 30 seconds actually by the looks of it. Richard Lay and Smith. Lay gets past Smith. This is just in the same group, so at least Smith has another couple of riders to ride with, but still needs to make a bit more of an effort. As he now enters, where are we, the third lap, and very shortly we'll move right up to the front. There's the front group. We'll be finishing fairly shortly. Well, lots of riders seem to have entered, but actually aren't racing, which is not uncommon. McQueen again at 11.2 kilometres, 15 minutes, 11 seconds into this race. Moving through the field rather rapidly now. Let's see if Davis and O'Brien are still up towards the front. With O'Brien and Empson right next to him. So Empson was reported as being in 10th position, but now down in 50th. I doubt very much he's lost that much ground. It might just have been the way that Zwift was reporting it. Sometimes it doesn't catch up quickly enough as I pick around. And different riders in the rider list. But there is Davis. Now Davis is in a different position, it looks like. Again, let me get up to the front and see if I can work out exactly what's going on. I think it's just really is a very large bunch up front. In fact, see here, it looks as if Empson is up the front. So there is Alexander that made a break early on in the field, now currently in second position with Wools or Wooles. Right next to him from Canada. These are Cat A riders. So this rider definitely has something in mind. Now beginning to lap riders ahead. Is a Ukrainian flag, I'm assuming there. at 13.4 kilometers in, and the main field is right here. So Davis, about a 2-3 second gap up to the between Davis and the front of the field, Alexander. In fact, now they've come back together, as I've been saying that, so not much has changed in that sense. Davis is riding well. Alexander's made an attack there and come back into the field. Question is, how far back are Empson and O'Brien? Now they are, it looks as if they are still in the same group. See if I can work it out. Yes, they are. Yes, so Empson, O'Brien, Davis are all in the same group up towards the front. Looks as if Stoneham now is beginning to think about his plans for the finish of this race. He has moved up from about 65th now to about 52nd position, just creeping forward slightly. I don't think he's in any panic yet, and will be taking advantage of the draft in the middle of this bunch. Strachan from Wickham is up there as well, now at 14.5 kilometres, 6k to go. So on the fourth lap. A quick look towards the rear, see what's happening, just in case someone is coming up quickly from behind. I doubt it's changed too much. McQueen at 13.9, entering lap 4 as well, riding quite nicely. Still a consistent average heart rate. I'm not sure what bike he is on, if he's only completed 12 or so races on Zwift. He won't have the Tron bike yet, it's unlikely he doesn't by the looks of it. And sitting behind him is that another BCC rider, Ray? Not someone I know. If it is, welcome to the racing. And there's Samson, actually. I haven't seen him for a while now. This is another interesting rider. Has become relatively experienced on Zwift, has of course gone through that phase of becoming faster as skills on Zwift develop, but is riding only with one other rider at this stage. I think looks as if he may have plateaued recently, but I think is actually capable of a little bit more than he is giving right now. So a few more riders popping out of the woodwork as the field stretches out to become a little bit easier to identify. But let's have a look back up in front. 16.3 kilometres. Riders now just coming up to, is that it? Is it just behind them? Just entering the fifth and final lap. 20.2 kilometres is the total distance for this race. So I will just check what is happening. Davis is suddenly, where is it? The mouse is gone. Looks as if Empson is ahead of him there, but with a field this size, riders are constantly swapping around. So this is the front of the field. Pozzoli, if that's how I pronounce your name. If not, apologies. Again, another attack coming off the front, 8.4 watts per kilo. It was just a short push, testing the field out there. The looks as if the peloton is closing back down. And in fact, they all come back together once more. Right, slightly further back, Davis, there he is, just on the screen. 14th position, nothing's really changed, still sitting relatively comfortably in the bunch, 170 and a heartbeat, which is quite high for a man of his age, but he can get it up to around 180, so is capable of pushing harder, but no need to at this stage. 3.3 watts per kilo. Stoneham sitting just behind him, watching, calculating. He knows he's faster than Davis and the other BCC riders, there's no question of that. But it is what is his opposition right up the front like. So he's now moved up to 35th position. Back down to 42, back up to 38, just shuffling around. We'll now be thinking about moving forward. Empson's still up there as well, which is great to see. Must be those new wheels he's got. No sign of O'Brien. He may well be in there, but I'm just cautious of not missing the winner. So Empson, Stoneham. Can't see Davis, I'm sure he's here though. 18.9 kilometres, 23 minutes, 37 seconds, 2.2k left. Someone is going to start pushing hard. I hope so, it makes it a more interesting race. In fact, there is Davis. It's him that's pushing hard by the looks of it. So the BCC riders still at the front. But as you can now see, I don't know if you can get it in an aerial shot, no, not really very well. But this field is stretching out rather rapidly, so the elastic band is being pulled rather taut. Someone's going to go snap if they haven't already. Whereas Stoneham's up at 7.3 watts per kilo, so he is now thinking about the finish. 19.8, he is going for it, currently in 12th position. It's a big ask at the moment. There is the finish line ahead. Don't think Stoneham's going to get there today. In third, he might do. It's third or seventh, just changing on screen. Let's see if we can see. No, I'm going to miss Davis, Empson. Don't know who finished there. Now this is the unfortunate part of Zwift. I have to go back to the start and then work my way back through the field again. But let's see who else. Well, there's O'Brien. Have a look at him. 19.7. I think the other riders ahead of him will have finished by now. So O'Brien did indeed not stay with Empson, but has ridden well, at least compared to the last time I saw him. Now coming up to the finish line, and we'll just pop backwards. As I saw on screen, some way off the finish line. In fact, I'm embarrassed to say that he's a relative at 5 kilometres further back. Heart rate's up at 177, so he's making the effort, just needs to build fitness, and there he is getting lapped. That's a bit embarrassing, but never mind, I'll remind him about it continuously. Jury, 19.2, 1 kilometre to go in the midst of this large field. 166 heartbeat, 250 watts, 3.74 watts per kilo. That's about his max. McQueen sitting there with him, so it's a race between McQueen and Jury. We'll watch McQueen at the moment, just because he's behind Jury. Is he capable of pushing past him? Don't know, haven't seen him sprint. But 600 metres to go will be showing on the rider's screen, but I can't see it unfortunately. McQueen just pushing out a little bit harder than Jury. Jury's upping the pace, 5 watts per kilo. McQueen's not responding. Jury looks to be pulling away slightly. Has he gone a little bit too early? 300 metres to go. Jury is pulling away. It looks to be Jury, then followed by McQueen. Ray, 19.1 kilometers. No other BCC riders around him. 1,000 meters to go. We'll look this rider up later, get some statistics for the next race. One rider with him now. Another on a Tron bike, closing fairly quickly from behind. But let's see what Ray can do as he enters the final 600 meters. Has he got a sprint in him? That's what I want to see. Makes it far more interesting to watch. Is he going to get up out of the saddle? A little bit too early for a sprint, but not too early to be piling the pressure on a little bit. Bofton pulls ahead. One other rider just behind, closing quickly. There is the finish line. If he's going to sprint, now's the time to sprint. No, he takes a drink of his water bottle. No, that wasn't a good finish. But coming up pretty quick behind is Sampson. I just saw him cross the finish line there. Littlewood, 20 kilometers. No, Littlewood, I missed him crossing the line. He's finished. So it looks as if Sampson and Littlewood. And Lay, or Hakima, let's see where he is. 18.8. I suspect he is the furthest ahead of the BCC riders in the field. Just have a quick look and see. Looks like it. If not, we'll stay with him now until the finish line. Just over 1 kilometre to go. 28 minutes 50 seconds. I neglected to look at the finishing time for Stoning in the front group. I think it was around 25.5, 26 minutes maybe, something of that nature. So my estimate wasn't too bad. And this is quite a large field, quite a good group I should say. I think that could be, well, probably now is the main peloton left. 19.4 kilometres. Quite a mixture of category C and D riders here. What's happening here? Just some riders pushing hard off the front there, trying to break away from this group. Akuma not responding at 19.7k. There he is. Few power-ups remaining coming out. There is the finish line. Now is the time to go. He's up his pace to 6.2, 6.9 watts per kilo. Certainly making an effort. That's nice to see. There they are, up out the saddle and pushing, crossing the line. And who do we have next? I don't want to... Oh, there's Smith. Still trundling away, 17.9k. I would hope that, I think that Lay is still ahead, if I can find him. 18 kilometres, where is he? There's Lay. Lay is at 19 kilometres, so if I read that correctly, maybe a kilometre ahead of Smith, so he's pulled away. He's old enough to be Smith's grandfather, I think, or certainly father, no doubt about that. In fact, there is Smith. 1 kilometre further back, 58 seconds yet still to go. But Lay is riding well. 161 on the heart, which is certainly good for a man of his age. Not telling you how old he is, of course, but 255 watts, so he's thinking about it. An experienced racer on Zwift, so he knows what he's doing. Doesn't see any competition around him. White, I haven't seen cross the line. I'm assuming he has by now, of course. 31 minutes, going over the 30-minute mark for these riders. Smith is continuing to drop away slightly. He's pulled ahead 1 more second. And I will stay on these last 2 riders, as I'm sure there aren't any others in the field at this stage, or none that I can practically pick up. And I think that is it. So Lay now at 19.9 kilometres, finish line in sight. Let him cross the line. Smith running at 2.3 watts per kilo. That's about what some of the kids actually do on their Saturday when I'm coaching them. I'm talking the 8-year-olds, of course. Oh, he's down to 1.7 now. I think the 4-year-olds can manage that. But still early days for Smith on Zwift. He will get faster and faster, and that is the pleasure of this system and the environment. As fitness builds, speed comes. Ultimately a plateau does arrive, but he has the pleasure of moving up through the categories, and I hope that he can do that fairly quickly. I think riding on a watt bike, if I remember correctly, and coming into view for him now will be the finish line round this corner, or it should be. Passing the start pens behind, and there is the finish line. Is he going to make any? Yes, he is. He's going to jump up out of the saddle. 7.2 watts per kilo. Can he hold it all the way? 7.4, dropping off slightly. No, he holds it to the finish. That was a great push for him. So well done, and well done to everyone this evening for tonight's Neokyo Crit Course on the Kuri Island. Next race, next Thursday, of course, or I may actually get round to coming back to the other races. But thank you all for watching. Any comments, please let me know. See you next time.